Hello, beautiful souls and co-creators. I'm Misty Faye, shamanic energy medicine practitioner, art therapy and life coach, Waldorf trained teacher, Akasha reader, life artist, and I've studied lots of other alternative healing techniques, including working consciously with the elemental realm. Through many Akashic type readings, I've learned that my first earth incarnation was in the fairy realm. I love words in general, and especially the word and the feel of mist. There's mystery, mystifying, mystic, mysterious. So as not to limit myself in describing my I amness, I created the term famistology. So I'm a famistologist. Plus it sounds like famous. The elemental world works in the time and space and consciousness that is in between, like twilight and dawn. Two other words that I love. I do work differently than other readers. If you haven't already read the description below, I invite you to pause the video and read it, please. It explains more in depth the consciousness and energies behind this reading. If that doesn't resonate with you, or you don't think you are at least open to the premises, then move on to find something that does resonate with you. Or come back later after exploring. This reading is an invitation to a soul-level healing and will not directly address the classical tarot reading themes, but the unconscious energetics as well as the 5 soul wounds in you, the viewer, that are up for change and transmutation, that prevent you from creating the life and connections you would like. I use the cards intuitively, so I may or may not use the traditional meanings of the cards. I honor and thank my fellow readers, especially all those whose readings have told me, to work on ourselves when there's a problem with our significant other. This reading and process is intended to complement their work and make it proactive for you. Also a little different from other readings, this reading is universal and inclusive, which means this is for connections in separation and in union, as well as just simply working with the feminine and masculine energies within you. For those in union, I would recommend listening together and doing what follows together. And this could be one of many type of themes. This is just one. This is chosen to start with the divine masculine, divine feminine, and that connection. But there will be others. My process is I open and create sacred space, attune to the collective, ask the question, and pull the cards. However, because this is the first reading and it's a prototype, partly due to the nature of the cards, as you'll see later, they have the faces on both sides. They have things on both sides, and there are only 7 cards in the deck. So it's kind of, this one is kind of pre-pulled, and it was interesting to do that because I've had time to meditate and let spirit speak in more detail than if I pull the card and it does add a lot of richness. But I'll do both. We'll see. Plus, it helps me in creating the guided meditation, which I will do after I do this reading. I will base it on what comes through. As becoming active in your journey is essential, after the reading, I'll create a guided meditation. Yeah, like I said. And the affirmations for healing the inner child, the body elemental, soul wounds, past lives, and probably a lot more. It will be linked below. So that's enough talk because the description is really complete. So let's jump in and embrace the learning and have some fun here. I'd like to first call in spirit, angel, and elemental kingdom guides, and I ask that I become a hollow bone so that I may speak and act for the highest good of the collective that I serve. I call in the spirit archangels, elemental kingdom guides for the twin soul flame, collective divine feminine, divine masculine archetypes. May we be protected and illuminated in your loving vibration. So, the first question, Spirit, Creator Source, that I have, please tell us what the collective divine feminine's inner child would like her to know. And I got prosperity. So we'll talk about it when we get the other 3 cards. Then I asked, Spirit, please tell us what you want us to know, the inner child, soul child of the divine masculine would like us to know concerning him. And we got peace. And then, Spirit, please tell us what you can tell us about the union between the two, their collective union, and the wounded parts, or the parts that are up for change, or what's living in between them. Because this category is you, maybe the viewer, or you can reverse it if you're a divine masculine. So you, me, and this one is protected, and it's we. That's the we category, or us. So regardless of the relationship, there's always a you, me, and a we. So let's look at this prosperity. On the real positive side, we see that this person is receiving a lot. It's a very lucky kind of sign. It's a lucky card. It's abundance. It's the spiritual world pouring out. The basket is full. There's more coming down. We can see that the child is maybe not noticing that his basket, and he's still looking for more. On the darker side of this, on the shadow side, this is when we go into a kind of poverty consciousness, thinking that we're not good enough, thinking that we lack in something, thinking that, in this example, the twin flame soul connections, that perhaps we don't deserve somewhere a really loving, kind, equal relationship with a partner. Maybe our life has been challenging, and maybe we haven't even had that experience with anyone. So that is that. But the positive side, and that's the divine potential, is that the divine feminine is in a good spot. She seems to be moving towards this abundance and creating plenitude, and the idea of have plenty of, that is all coming into her at this time. That's possible. But the wounding again is the undeserving. So let's first look at now what's going on with the divine masculine. So we see this very peaceful, meditating, calm. Even with, I just noticed the angel wings there. There's angel wings, like he's in this really divine space, and very calm and grounded. When you're sitting in that yoga position, the cross-legged position, you're very grounded and still. So that is available for the divine masculine. However, the darker side of this is that it could indicate, because the title of this card is actually releasing trauma, peace. And so this could indicate that the divine masculine, as his inner child, or even his childhood, was marked with abuse. It could have been sexual or physical abuse. It could have been violence, war. Maybe he was bullied. Maybe he had cruel treatment from parents, or divorce, or even smaller things where he just felt abuse, and he kind of froze from within. And so he kind of shut down emotionally. And then he created this space where he could not maybe even grow emotionally. So he kind of put on masks to protect that vulnerability. And so protected kind of really is the protected. We could see these two hands and this little child. It's like the divine is protecting this union. We could say this togetherness. These two wounded children, maybe and so the child could feel safe and kind of like reconnect with our divine parents or our connection with the divine. This also shows like a psychic sensibility. These could be real sensitivity, and this could also be like this is really a spiritual connection, and that the child, the inner child, kind of the blend of the two, has it's kind of meant to be and to grow and in this protected space. Now the opposite of that is what you sometimes hear readers say about like a third party, or it's like some kind of psychic attacks, and it's this kind of fear of this is a vulnerability, and afraid to be vulnerable, both the feminine and the divine masculine. You know, when she put herself out there and she kind of felt like, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to be judged. I'm not good enough. I'm going to compare myself. I get compared to other people, maybe. Maybe she was compared to siblings or friends or something like that. And there was never, no matter how much I do, I'm still not good enough. You know, it seems like I always have to go further and I have to please. This could be someone who's an overachiever. Um, and so there's this real both are mirroring this vulnerability and the connection. Now we'll see how that comes along, but the connection is protected and it is spiritually based. So when the next phase, we're going to go to the so that's the inner child level. The next level was spirit source creator. Please tell us what past life energies are most affecting the divine feminine. And this comes from the Akasha Tarot. And so for the divine feminine, we have it's major arcana. It's the Oracle of Delphi. And Spirit, please tell us about what kind of past lives are affecting the divine masculine at this time. Please let us know. And we pulled the Three of Roses. And it's the loving elementals. And now the roses, if you want to know, are the cups. So it's the three cups. It's a little child, and there are our elemental beings. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So please tell us, Spirit, Source, what past life energies are most affecting them when maybe they came together? What is the energy that is coming from lives when they were together? And we got the karmic trench upside down, which is actually a good sign. So let's start. So the divine feminine, this is what I picked up from this picture. The Oracle of Delphi, I don't know if you all know about that, but you could see she's sitting up on a kind of chair, almost looks like a throne or almost like a pedestal. And the oracles of Delphi, this is from ancient Greece, would go into these caves, and there'd be some kind of gas that would enable them to have visions. And so they would have lots of people wanting to come and have them be an oracle and tell them what's going to happen and read their lives, their future. And so what I sense from this is a past life where um, where somehow the divine feminine uh, got put into a position of power and didn't feel she deserved it. Or somehow it could also be that she was somehow, because there is a man, he's supposed to be some kind of scribe or some kind of priestly religious person with a beard. Um, and maybe there was this thing of getting put into a position of power and not feeling she deserved it. I think I said that already. And it could be that she has this energy of like an ivory tower, kind of like I'm kind of above you all and you're below me, and so there's this kind of um, superiority complex, which often reflects an inferiority complex, which could make us feel that somehow we don't deserve or we're less than, or we try to put on exterior. So what's interesting too is that she is kind of looking down. Um, Maybe she's just receiving messages from the gases, but it's not like she's I sense like there's part of her that she doesn't want to be there, and she's kind of being pushed by this masculine energy to produce. There could also be this thing of like a courtesan type situation. Um, she is, however, turning her back on masculine energy in this picture. So that this could be, places where she kind of turned away from conventional marriages and just kind of became and went into her own power. So that's the positive. That's the positive side of the prosperity. This is where she was really just kind of lucky. She was a woman, maybe in times where she wasn't. Women weren't supposed to be in places of power. And I'm almost feeling like, when you watch all those movies with you know, women in power in times that they weren't to be in power, it was very, very difficult. Um, that's what I'm getting for that. That's the one of the lives I'm picking up on. A couple of them. So you have to take what, of course, speaks to you. And maybe you see other things in there that comes through. But there's this like kind of put up on a pedestal, like somehow um, I'm better and I'm above you, kind of energy going through. And then we have this loving elementals. There, we can see better. I get the impression that this is a life where the divine masculine was kind of left to his own resources, um, kind of um, kind of left on his own, and maybe in a lower position, uh, in the times where rank and who you were in society mattered. I'm really picking up something like that, and it seemed like, and this could even be that maybe he was an orphan, but somehow he was a child. He, but mostly, was was kind of brought up by other people, or had a really close spiritual connection to the other worlds, as a lot of children do, and somehow well, through our education and through all kinds of layers of crap that get put on us by society, well, the child loses this these connections. And so um, I'm getting, yeah, like what's really interesting though there, I notice, is is the positions here. We have some really cool something very similar. Maybe the in this past life, um, there was this grounded practicality, really connected to the earth, really kind of maybe farming, and you know, the earth was all there is, kind of thing, and there wasn't anything beyond. It could also be that, and the spirit world was always trying to wake him up and tried to speak to him, but just kind of ignored it. But we have these two positions as kind of in a sitting position, and it's interesting that there's also a child in this too, and the inner child card of peace is reflecting that. Um, that's what I'm getting for that past life. There could be other ones, but we'll see now with this connection. Now, this usually like this is not the happiest of cards to get. Karmic trenches. Um, that even sounds heavy. And what do you notice the most in this picture? He's digging a ditch. He's really deep in that earth element. Um, and um, the he's kind of far away from the house and that kind of green safe energy. Um, it looks like he has a lot of work to do. So that's when it's like this. However, this is actually positive, because this means that the karma is being released, is being transmuted. And so we'll look at this connection between these two. And this is what I pick up for these two things happening. I think the divine masculine, represented by the loving elemental and baby sitting by the river. Um, um, I think there was this thing where the divine masculine kind of really put his divine feminine on a pedestal and kind of looked up to her. And she was of a higher status and looked down on him, or felt very frustrated because they were prevented from being together because he was not of the same rank as she was. That is one that I'm picking up on. So he could have felt very um he could have felt, in this case, he could have felt less than. Okay, so this is an interesting mirror of what's happening now, if with the prosperity card for the divine feminine, and this idea of not feeling deserving. He maybe doesn't feel he or didn't feel he deserves that, and so he felt kind of hurt and left out in the cold. We could imagine that, she was maybe married. She had to marry an older man, just because he was of the royalty, or the rank of the society. Another one that I see is kind of, could be even from this life, in that maybe the divine's masculine mother. Um, yeah, okay. Here's the other thing. It could have been a mother-child, a mother-child, mother-son, mother-daughter, mother-child event, kind of past life happening, where the
the mother was maybe maybe they were born into royalty and often, or into a wealthy family where the child was never really raised by the mother, but that doesn't always, and he had maybe loving people around him, but that connection that you have with your mother just was never satisfied in that life. And but what's interesting is it looks like she missed, she's looking towards her baby as if she misses him, or she misses that connection, or maybe they were there was a separation, um and he was raised by other people. Then the other one's like almost more of a, I've seen a modern type life where maybe mom had to go to work, and she was very busy, and she kind of just left um, her young person in care of other people, and kind of to his own defenses, to kind of figure things out for himself. So I'm picking up like the divine masculine could feel very wounded and shut out by the divine feminine. But the good news is, because of this, is that this past life karma, or difficulty or wounding, is in the process of being healed and released. So that is very, very, very positive. And so at this time in the reading, I really picked up um, of the 5 wounds of I think what we're looking at with the divine masculine is abandonment. We're looking at abandonment, and abandonment by his divine feminine, whether she be in the role of a mother or lover or whatever they were in that past life, and from this wounding, that maybe they're in this, the abuse could have been from a parent. And I'm really picking up that there is a deep wound in the divine masculine by the feminine energy. I mean, some of it is not reckless and done on purpose, but um, it could have been done unconsciously. So what we're going to look at with the divine masculine here is that the mask that he wears is dependence. And now I thought this is interesting because this is like, could be codependence, like looking for his value outside himself and seeking love outside himself, which makes a lot of sense. And dependence could even be addictions. And when you had severe uh, if he's had severe abuse issues that have left unhealed, and that frozen energy, um, and that pain, um, dependences, smoking, drinking, sex, shopping, gambling, um, often are the addictions, and it's a way of soothing the pain. It's kind of a way of running away and not confronting it, but the if you could call it a positive aspect of an addiction, is that it temporarily, superficially, soothes the pain. And so, just like our little person here, um, I believe the biggest fear of the divine masculine is that um, of being alone, and that solitude, and that not being in touch with what he feels. And so he'll wear a mask, and he'll probably wear the mask and go out with the drinking, smoking buddies, and for that time, that mask of dependence, and dependence on something outside himself, or just pick up a meaningless maybe relationship, and just to like some kind of quick fix kind of thing. um And yeah, so solitude is his greatest fear, but the mask of dependence covers up. And then what we could really feel that the divine masculine needs is this loving attention of the feminine energy. Um, and if you are in separation, um, the best way to work, and if he's ghosting you or you've chosen to, is to just keep sending loving energy, like the loving elementals, and they're in the 4 5D. And so this is where you can work, and we'll talk about that and later. You can really work that loving energy, that gentle look, that gentle regard, and just loving that loving attention that it seems in lives this divine masculine did not receive. So let's have a look at what is the core wound of soul wound of the divine feminine. And I picked up of the 5 that it is probably humiliation. Let me just stick it in here. Humiliation. And the mask she wears is, I didn't like this idea of masochism so much, but I like the idea of this kind of martyrhood type thing, where she sacrifices who she really is for others. She's always sacrificing for others, and maybe people please her because she doesn't feel she deserves love. So she has to overachieve, and she has to be powerful when she doesn't maybe feel it all the time. So um um yeah, she might have this martyr complex, always kind of a codependence looking codependence, of looking for her love and approval outside herself, so then she could finally feel that she deserves that, or she'll work really hard, or she'll people please. And then she feels like what usually happens is that she loses herself, and her biggest fear is actually being free. Okay, so this looks like there was some kind of, maybe there's a control issue. You better perform, or else. Perform for me, or else. Do as I tell you. Produce, or else. And so was she free sitting in her cave? Even if maybe she had some spiritual powers. So when we invest ourselves so much in other people, we can lose ourselves. It's a very Libran type quality, where we see really we are the other. And so that's very interesting. And so what she needs to do is her freedom and independence. She needs to, and her sovereignty. So if we took him out, maybe she was just the sovereign queen in her power. Okay, and she didn't have to answer and please a man, and please and produce, and what was demanded of her, and being maybe something she wasn't, developing a false self. Okay. And so the way to work on these wounds for the divine feminines, check if what is humiliating us, um, was it really shameful? And then stop taking everything on your shoulders. Yeah, stop, like this is the super mom, the super, even maybe single mom, doing everything, playing both roles of the mother and father for her children, bringing home, but maybe, a little bit too much of that, where she doesn't get to be in her divine feminine energy, but has to double and overdevelop her masculine side. And then for the divine masculine, check if the dependent really wants to give up. Yeah, this can cause like also self-worth. I'm just stuck. This is the way it's going to be. I'm always going to be alone. I give up. I'm not going to have a relationship because, the feminine energy always hurts me. I can't take it. And it looks like divine masculine might have been, maybe there's 3 significant relationships in his life that really deeply wounded him. What I'm going to do now is, what soul lesson archetype has the divine feminine agreed to work on and transmute? And this is very interesting with what we've just said, because it was the Emperor, which is actually a very Aries energy. It's not in this card. This is the Carl Jung deck archetypes. And so we see this, and I've only, with this particular tarot deck, I'm only doing the major arcana because they're our biggest soul lessons and soul guides. Like, if you know astrology, it's kind of like, they're kind of like the north nodes. They're the north nodes, and show us where we should be heading to. And so this is really interesting with what we just said about this need for independence and the stopping of the stopping of people pleasing, self-sacrificing, martyrdom, people pleaser type thing. This Libran energy, she needs to now balance that with this archetype of the Emperor. She needs to be in her sovereignty, in her independence, in her balanced masculine energy, not this anything violent, aggressive, or anything like that. Not over identifying with that masculine entity that I have to do everything, I have to fix things, I have to make it right. That not over responsibility, but this kind of balance in her power and balanced, sovereign, and so maybe the message is, to really almost be ready to release her twin soul, divine masculine, to the point where she is so happy and satisfied, on her own, and it doesn't matter. And that comes through, because I watch a lot of readings too. That comes through in the readings. A lot of messages, a lot of good readers talking about that. So I thought that was very interesting. Now we'll come back to these soul cards, because what I've done with shamanism is I've linked them with the 4 direction archetypes: the serpent, south and earth, the jaguar, west and water, the hummingbird, north and air, the eagle, east and fire, Pachamama, which is Mother Earth, Father Spirit, Grandmother Moon and Star People, Huascar of the lower world, Quetzalcoatl, middle world, and Pachacuti, the upper world, as well as the practices. So what was the soul energy, spirit? So spirit for the divine masculine. And for that, I got the magician, which is very interesting too, because the magician is someone who is a manifester of combining his resources and inner tools. And what I notice a lot with the magician in this particular one is that that fire is really burning bright, and I think that fire, and it's right by his 3rd chakra and below his heart, and I think that's a good image for the divine masculine to freeze and maybe allow himself to feel vulnerable, feel and feel and heal that little small person in him that felt a bit, whoops, whoops, didn't count on that one. I'll get it in a minute. That just slid behind the table. I'll pick that up in a minute. Yeah, to really melt his heart and heat up his heart, and we also have the sun and the moon, the masculine and feminine, maybe balancing out how the hurt of the feminine, illuminating that more. So we will have another look at that as we go along in the reading and we get to the shamanistic part of this reading. Let me pick it up. I think I can grab it. Here it is. It's not too hard to get. Oh yes. I think because this is my first reading, I'm a little nervous. What I wanted to go back to is on here we have affirmation, and for the divine feminine, I am divine abundance, a sacred creation of the universe. And what we have, hopefully it doesn't fall down again. What we have for the divine masculine, for his affirmation, I am at one with the universe and feel deep inner peace. Yeah, reconnecting to his universal connections. I think he shut those down. And then this protected vulnerability, feeling safe. I am protected by the universe and love, and the love in my open heart. Yeah, I feel this one is really speaking towards the divine masculine. This is what's keeping that that union, is that he is still wounded from the feminine energy, in all its different forms, not necessarily his divine feminine, but he's afraid of her. He's afraid of her. He has put himself below, and he thinks somehow she's above him. Yeah, so when he can open up and feel protected and being vulnerable. Let's see if we get any other answers. Yeah, and so divine spirit source, please tell me, what, in light of this, okay, let me get my question clear. In light of the inner child and Akashic record past lives, please tell us which chakra energy center is most affecting the divine feminine. And what's very interesting is I got the sacral chakra, which is creativity, and interesting, the water element. Okay. Linked to the color orange. We have a bit of orangey shade here. And the soul challenge is evolution of desire and emotion force, the will to have and love. And it could be undermined by guilt. Yeah, if you are guilty that you're not doing enough for your kids, you're not doing enough for, that you haven't made it in the world, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough status, etc. If those things matter, this is what's pulling on that. So that's her, in the sacral energy, and her creativity. And elementals and divine source, please tell us what, in light of the inner child and the Akashic past life reading, please tell us which chakra is affecting most the divine masculine. And kind of not a big surprise, we have the throat chakra. Communication. This comes through in a lot of readings. Yeah. And this is his inability to communicate his emotions, to feel vulnerable. His throat chakra is blocked. And I'm picking up on energies. Maybe his head was cut off. His throat, maybe it's that deeply wounded. There's energetic wounds, you know, right at the neck level. So the soul challenge for this is expression of divine will, the will to creatorship and responsibility. Yeah, the responsibility. What is responsibility? Responsibility is the ability to respond, to communicate, to answer, to be accountable, to express. Okay. So please tell us, dear elementals and divine source, please tell us what element is most affecting the divine feminine in this reading. And we have fire, vitality. What's interesting is the quality is gaseous. It could be gaseous, fixed, hot, and dry. Maybe that's a throwback to the life as an oracle and the gases. And what's funny, it's linked to Aries. So this is a beautiful thing for the more of the fire energy. What's also interesting is the body elemental lives within that the sacral chakra, and the fire is really this transmutation. So going from burning through all that heavy energy that weighs her down in lack and undeservingness, unworthiness, having to do I do, therefore I am kind of thing. Please, therefore I exist. Yeah, to burn all that out and use her energy to put into herself and her sovereignty. Yeah, putting that heat, that flame, her own inner flame, to become sovereign and balance energies with her creativity. And this Aries energy, using that Aries energy of independence, not the codependence. So elementals, body elementals, please tell us which element does the divine masculine need to work with at this time. And it was ether. And this is called space, which is really interesting. So I think it's creating space, maybe the love and fire and heat and warmth that he receives from the divine feminine energy in his divine feminine twin flame, but also from within himself, his own inner healing of his own inner divine feminine, creating space and openness in his heart. Openness so he can better communicate. And so ether is, I would call, like the fifth element. It is the combination of all the elements put together that when transmuted becomes spiritual energy. This is really what the divine masculine needs, is to reconnect to his own source, spirit source. He needs to connect. His heart has grown cold and overly entrenched in the earthly perspective, so that he cannot connect. No, this is it. He doesn't connect to source or to spiritual energy, and that is what is blocking him from connecting to his divine feminine twin flame, that spiritual connection. Didn't we get that someplace else too? So this is very interesting. So space, there's not, look at that, it's the crown chakra and the throat. crown, the ajna, which is the third eye, and it's space, spirit, and equilibrium. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. It's this equilibrium, the quintessence, putting all his inner resources together, transmuting with fire. Look at, he needs the fire from his divine feminine. That is so beautiful. Wow. Love that. So, now I'm gonna switch to the fairies, and ask them, dear fairies, please tell us, what advice do you have in light of the energies that that have evolved in this relationship, that can make this relationship move forward? What is their perspective on the movement of this relationship and the healing of these energies for both of them? And so, what is it for the divine feminine? We have the Queen of Autumn, which is the Queen of discs, and this goes really beautifully with all this. So this is this divine feminine in her authority, in her sovereignty, balancing out that what just came to me. It could be there could also still be some wounding with daddy issues. Yeah. That'll be a separate reading. But anyway, that there could be where she still has maybe to work on her, just like the divine masculine has to heal maybe some mother wounding, divine feminine maybe to come into this true place of queenliness. Be practical with respect to how you proceed. Yeah, don't disperse yourself. The ability to make anything more beautiful. Yeah, making meeting someone who can help your dreams come true, and that would be your divine masculine. But once you are in this place of your feminine, your balanced masculine feminine sovereignty, independence, where again we have this similarity in how they're both women are looking. They're kind of looking down, or they have the eyes closed and they're just content in meditation and looking within. Maybe they realize that their power, their fire, and their creativity is within. Really working on that creative kundalini, that's the kundalini energy rising up, rising up. So she doesn't need to breathe the gases anymore. She has it within her and without her. She has all of that going for her. So that is the feminine. So please tell us, fairy energy of the elemental realm, please tell us what advice you have for the divine masculine. And we have the Ace of Spring, which is the Ace of Wands. Okay. Ace of Spring. So what I see, what flashes out in this picture, are the pinkness, which is usually associated very feminine. This very feminine, pinky energy surrounded with green. I really feeling this heart chakra energy. Yeah. It's time to take action. Yeah. Yeah, this, I hope we're going to really help multidimensionally heal this divine masculine. there's the butterflies. That's a transformation sign. The butterflies going from the cocoon, this kind of this hibernating phase, coming out to this overly earth-based being, that like the serpent energy, you only connected horizontally, this kind of instinctual, to this beautiful transformation going into the cocoon, and then coming out this beautiful, often colorful and transformed. So I really feel like this the fairies want the divine masculine to really connect with his feminine energy within his heart space, reconnect with that energy, and allow that transformation, allow that alchemy of healing to take place and transform him. Yeah, this could be like, we hear it a lot, and we hear it a lot. We're hearing this happen. So we probably wonder, well, when is it going to happen? Well, when is it going to happen? Well, maybe both have to do their work for it to really click. And I know you could say, well, I'm doing the work, but don't forget, I think a tendency of the divine feminine, because we are leading, so there is a lot of weight on our shoulders. This is true, a lot of weight on our shoulders, is to think of that divine masculine as something lesser, that his problems are somehow how worse or less evolved, or we're somehow further along the journey. Well, if you're twin souls, truly, your energies are the same. So, it's kind of relative. Okay, maybe there's some more addictive type things going on with him, but how are you addictive? How is he mirroring that to you? Okay, are you watching tons and tons of readings and obsessing and turning around and think, well, it's not me, it's him. Well, there's something we need to work on right away. So I think this is beautiful. And maybe there's something, be fearless, yeah, because he's frozen in his fear right now. He's frozen in his fear, and happily pursue your most treasured dreams. Yeah, the dream of having this fulfilling relationship with the feminine energy, with you, with the divine feminine. Just like in the beginning, from the past life, not feeling you deserve a fulfilling relationship with your so maybe this is really showing the mirror between the two of you. And then finally, what is this, fairies? What can you tell us about this connective energy between the two of these, the divine masculine and feminine, for their reunion? And I find this very positive. Just like this is the Prince of Summer, which is the Knight of Cups, and yeah, they are showing the little guy, little elfin person, riding on a dandelion. And we have, of course, it's elemental, so it's lots of green energy. Again, it's kind of heart energy, which would be true for the cups energy. Falling in love suddenly. So maybe there's going to be this this movement forward, this releasing of this vulnerable energy, towards going towards this falling in love again, falling in love with your divine masculine, falling in love with those, and transmuting and caring for those and forgiving those heavy energies in yourself, and both people, and really releasing it. Dandelions, they're out right now where we are. In spring, they're really fun, and I used to love doing this as a kid. And maybe it's getting into that playful energy of just blowing those and just watching them float. And I used to imagine they were little fairies, flying around and bringing us messages and planting seeds of hope, of something beautiful. Yellow, the yellow dandelion, we think of them as weeds. They're incredibly healing plants, by the way, dandelions, and very great in, you can even eat them. Not the dandelion heads, but the dandelion leaves. I have a rabbit and she loves them. So this is very positive. I see divine feminine coming into her prosperity, allowing that abundance, believing, knowing that she is complete and sovereign, and she deserves to have this beautiful relationship with a divine masculine. When she heals this energy of not feeling good enough, of not deserving, maybe not even deserving a positive relationship with her father or any abuse that came from there. When she lets go of that and transmutes that, or past relationships, she can come into the sovereign place, and the divine masculine will have peace within himself. He'll feel harmonized. He'll feel balanced between the energies of his inner masculine, inner feminine. He will view this as feeling supported by the divine world, feeling supported by that energy, instead of closing off to that and just being incredibly overly practical, overly logical, too much in the distorted masculine. Too much, I have to fix this, I have to work, I'm a workaholic because that defines who I am. I have to wear my mask with my dependence and just just have fun and not look within, because that scares me a little bit too much. And just opening up to this heart energy, and then be able to communicate finally, communicate the pain, communicate back, and create space for his reconnecting with the divine energy, the divine forces. So now we'll go back to these cards, which I have in myself, because I have the Great Oracle Medicine cards by Alberto Villado, who offers training sessions in shamanism. And I love these cards, these oracle cards, and I wanted to bring them into this reading. So I just spent some time just really reflecting how the major arcana, the energies, the archetypes of the major arcana are linked to what we call the practices of each of the directions. The directions being serpent south, jaguar west, hummingbird north, and eagle east. And so when I asked what goes with the, I'm just going to move it here a little bit into the center, what goes with the emperor, I linked with the sun. And it is actually, let me just double check one thing here. The emperor is linked to a spirit himself, Father Spirit, when shamanism called Father Spirit, the light of consciousness. So there's something very beautiful too. And so the best thing to do, because they're quite long, I'm going to just read what the medicine is. The medicine is for the sun card. The sun. And the invitation is, well, this is interesting. I'm going to read the whole thing. The essence. The sun is acknowledged by many cultures as the foremost masculine force. Now that is very interesting. In other traditions, it is seen as feminine in her full power. That is also very interesting. Either way, it is the most brilliant light for all beings and allows life to sprout from the dark. Feminine earth. It can be gentle and warming, close to sunrise or sunset, fall or winter, or it can be destructive, as in the zenith during the scorching summer. So we have this beautiful thing going on with fire. We have this earthiness, this over earthiness. So the invitation is: have you been hibernating? Have you been introspective? It's time to come out of your cave. That's awesome. Time to I didn't even realize that. I had no idea. That is so cool. Time to come out of your cave and savor the life-giving light of our star. The sun rekindles our passion and creative energy. How beautiful is that for the feminines? How beautiful is that? Life is calling you to shine your light and to add your lightness and humor to the seriousness around you. Get out and play. Yeah, playfulness with the elementals. And the medicine, have you been shining your light for too long? Remember that daylight is only half of the day. The night must have her equal time, and she offers us gifts as well. Be careful not to be blinded by your light or the light of others. Very interesting. The superiority. Am I holier than thou? Or I'm my ivory tower? In my ivory tower, thinking, looking down through my nose. Do not become enamored with yourself or worship others. Beware your shadow. Revel in your midday glory, but do not be afraid of the waning of the dark of the light at dusk. And so that was Father Spirit, which is just one of the archetypes when we open up sacred space. And so now for the magician, we have, so let's put these over here. That was wonderful because that just shows how connected this all is. We have the source. No, that's sorry. So no big surprise for the element. This is the magician is linked to the sorcerer card, and that comes from the position of the direction of eagle, of the way of the teacher, the sage, and the mage or the magician, east and fire. And with the magician, it's what we call indigenous alchemy. And this is also perfect for the divine masculine because there's the sorcerer. Because in eagle position, what we're called to do is to do complete surrender. And it's the famous saying, let go and let God. The other directions you worked along the way. This is just that surrender. It's kind of it's almost like the phoenix. You can think of it as the phoenix. The surrender and then rising again, which we're really seeing strongly in the masculine's thing. So we have this sorcerer, and we have this again replaying of orangey, fiery, transmutational. So the element linked to the direction of the east is is fire. So we have this beautiful thing happen, his divine feminine bringing again this fire, this heat, this warmth, this attention, this loving attention. And even if you're not together at this time, if you're in separation, that loving attention, that heat and that fire will come through the work you do on yourself. You can work miracles working on yourself. You'll see. So the sorcerer, this is what it says about the sorcerer. The essence of the sorcerer. This is the source of dark power. The sorcerer represents the destructive aspect of the human psyche and the self-centered behavior that harms others. It symbolizes the unconscious beliefs and ideas that foster separation, conflict, and scarcity. Scarcity. So this word so mirroring each other here. The invitation.
when the sorcerer enters your circle, you're being called to look at how your beliefs around scarcity and self-centered fear, solitude, iciness in your world. Examine the destructive part of your psyche that misuses power or harbors feeling of resentment, vengeance, lust, greed, bigotry, or hatred. Perhaps you've harmed someone because of these dark tendencies. If so, all is not lost. You have only forgotten that all beings are interconnected and the universe is abundant. So mirroring each other. The sorcerer arrives to challenge you to change your thinking. Yeah. You're given a second chance, a transformation. Make peace with it and choose another way. Here's the medicine. My arms are getting tired, so I'm going to put this down. 1 second. Put it here. Put the magician back. Have you been feeling out of sorts because you've been faced with your own character flaws and pain? And the pain that you inflict on others when you are out of alignment? That is so it. Radical self-acceptance is called for now. Yes, Divine Masculine, accepting all of your flaws, all of that abuse, accept it, love it, transmute it. Because what you do, it could have the tendency, because you're suffering like a hurt, when an animal suffers or is hurt, it's not going to just let you pet it, it's going to protect itself, and that's it. So it comes off as these kinds of negative things, and you want to lump every feminine into that feeling of abandonment and not seeing her as for who she is. Radical self-acceptance is called for now. You must reconcile these darker aspects of your nature so you don't behave irresponsibly. So we have responsibility again, and cause more harm to yourself and the ones you love. It's time to come out of denial and accept responsibility for your words and deeds. When you meet the energy of the sorcerer with humility, this destructive power transforms into grace, which you can use in service for the highest good. Perhaps it's time to make amends. Do it. It will set you free from shadows and let you step into the light. That is so perfect for the Divine Masculine. Yes, it is. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself first. Recognize, take responsibility, be accountable for, understand, put yourself in the place of the feminine. She can put herself in the place, in your place, and feel what it feels like to be wounded by the feminine energy. Because right now you're wounding her with your masculine energy. The distorted masculine is hurting by living in separation and disconnection. So we're coming close here to the end. So the last little part is messages from the plants, from the Finhorn deck, flower deck. Dear elemental world, especially the gnomes who are closely connected to the earth element, what advice do you have in light of the energies that have come forth so far for the divine masculine, divine feminine, and the union energies? What advice do you have? And this is a cool little spread we do with these flowers, and so it's called the plant layout, and this is the seed energy. The seed energy is the malo, grace. Yeah, this is God's grace. This is reconnecting with the source from within. This is really realigning with that father energy, which is what we feel, what we want in union with, is our union with our divine mother, father, is what we really want. And we think that those energies that we see in human form, imperfect human form, are it, and that's how we get wounded. This is the mallow. It's grace. I harmonize in love with will.
I speak and act from the heart. So the seed has to be planted by the divine masculine, obviously. They plant seeds very well. They plant seeds to open up his heart and speak with his healed throat chakra, harmonizing his love and his acts with compassion. Then the next one is the sprout, and it goes towards this way. And the sprouts is awareness and affirmation of new growth. This is the conscious, what's in the conscious mind. This is the thistle. So courage. Yes, it takes courage. All this takes courage. Absolutely. Have the courage and strength to stand in my truth. I bring confidence and certainty into all my actions. Yeah, this is feeling that courage to act with I know who I am, I'm sovereign, to act decisively as would this emperor in royal authority, but equalize, not seeing one better than the other. Okay. Then we have in the next position, which is the growth, valerian. Valerian, by the way, if you're having a hard time sleep, valerian tea, or they're going to begin growing out in summer. They're very beautiful. They smell nice. You can make them into teas. Delight. Yeah, bring some joy. Bring some joy to all this. I delight in the happiness of living. I walk my spiritual path with lightness and humor. Absolutely. That's for on the divine masculine side. Then we have the stem, which is the watercress and well-being. Yeah, with courage and bringing courage and joy and the grace of spirit to because this is protected. Look at this. Remember we said this is divinely protected. That's grace. Well-being. I cleanse my body and reflect the purity of my soul. Absolutely. Absolutely. Clearing out those darker energies. And finally, like this, the sorcerer was saying, coming into alignment, coming into union. Why not? Hey, I align myself with the spirit of abundance. Yes. And have faith that all my needs are met. Absolutely. All the needs. So the need for freedom, the need for loving attention. And I think that's very, very, very beautiful. And just one last word from the universe has you backed. Let's just do a little, see what one final affirmation that Spirit has for us. I will even show you that I will shuffle the cards in front of you. Spirit, please give us your last, final, loving, gracious, delightful, courageous well-being so we can be in alignment with all that we desire. Please show us what you would like us to know. I'm just going to simply pull a card here. Oh, this is... this one, it's all live here. This was totally live. When I'm in alignment with love of the universe, peace cannot be disrupted. This is so perfect. Thank you so much, Spirit. This was wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So, there you go. Let's put this right here behind alignment. I thank you for listening. Be blessed. I salute the divine in you. I salute you on your journey. Please check out if you want to go further, go deeper with this. When we're in a meditative state and these affirming these things to ourselves, the reprogramming of the body elemental, and working with all these energies within, even with whether you're together or in union or just working on yourself, these shifts in you shift your world. So be blessed and stay tuned for some other upcoming videos by Misty Faye. Bye-bye.